Building Success 10 Life Habits to Create a Strong, Unstoppable You. Prologue. The moment everything changes. There comes a moment in every life when you look around and everything feels heavy. You've tried, you've fallen, you've questioned your worth, you've given so much, yet it feels like nothing moves. You stand there, heart beating slowly, whispering to yourself, "Is this it? Is this all I'm meant to be?" But deep inside, there's something still alive, a voice that refuses to die, a quiet spark that says, "No, this is not the end. This is the beginning." The truth is, every strong person you've ever admired once stood exactly where you stand now. Lost, confused, doubting. And then they made a decision. They decided to build themselves. Success is not built in one day. It is built habit by habit, choice by choice, brick by brick. It is built in silence, in early mornings when no one is watching, in the discipline of doing the hard thing again and again. You were not born unstoppable. You become unstoppable. And it all begins here, with 10 habits. 10 ways of thinking, living, and becoming. 10 truths that will turn your pain into power and your fear into fire. So listen carefully. Because if you truly let these habits sink into your mind, if you live them, not just hear them, then no storm, no rejection, no failure will ever be able to break you again. This is not a motivational speech. This is a mirror, a reflection of the person you can be, and always were meant to be. Let's begin.
Habit 1. Self-awareness. Know yourself first. Most people spend their whole life running toward money, running toward success, running toward approval. But few ever stop to ask, why am I running? You can't win a race when you don't even know where the finish line is. You can't master your life when you don't even understand who you are. Self-awareness. It sounds simple, but it is the root of everything. You cannot change what you refuse to see. You cannot grow when you don't even know what's holding you back. The first habit of true success is not grinding harder. It's knowing yourself deeper. Ask yourself, what are my strengths? What makes me come alive? What drains me? What patterns keep repeating in my life, and why? Most people don't live their own lives. They live the expectations of others, their parents, their friends, society. They chase dreams that aren't even theirs. And years later, they wake up empty, wondering where their fire went. Self-awareness is the act of turning inward. It is facing the mirror without fear. It's asking the hard questions and being honest with the answers. When you truly know yourself, you stop trying to be like everyone else. You stop copying what the world tells you is success. You start designing your own version of it. Self-awareness is not self-criticism. It's not about judging who you are. It's about understanding who you are becoming. It's like being the scientist of your own life, observing, learning, adjusting. And once you know your patterns, you can finally break them. You'll see that your anger is not weakness, it's a signal. That your fear is not the enemy, it's an invitation to grow. That your sadness is not failure, it's your soul calling for alignment. Everything changes when you start asking why. Why you react the way you do. Why you quit when things get hard. Why you avoid the silence. Because inside that why lies your power. The power to choose differently, to rewrite the story, to no longer be a victim of your emotions, but their master. Think of life as a ship. Most people drift wherever the current takes them. They blame the waves, the storm, the wind. But a captain, a true captain, studies the map. He knows where he's going. He knows his vessel. He knows his purpose. You are that captain. Your self-awareness is the map. And once you hold that map firmly, the ocean no longer scares you. He realizes he was never lost. He just wasn't looking. You can't fix your life from the outside. You fix it from within. So stop chasing. Start listening. Start noticing. Start knowing. Because the moment you understand yourself, the world starts to make sense. If you don't know yourself, the world will tell you who to be, and you'll believe it. But once you do, no one can ever again tell you your worth. So take time to be alone, to think, to reflect, to see the truth of who you are. Because self-awareness is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning. The moment your life stops happening to you and starts happening for you.
Habit 2. Discipline. The bridge between goals and reality. Discipline. The word people love to hate because it asks for the one thing comfort never gives: effort. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants the results, but not everyone wants to wake up early, to sweat, to struggle, to keep going when no one's clapping for them. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your reality. Without it, dreams remain just dreams, beautiful but useless. With it, even the impossible starts to bend in your favor. Motivation will get you started, but discipline, that's what keeps you going when motivation disappears. Because it will disappear. There will be days you wake up tired, days you don't feel inspired, days where everything in you whispers, "Take it easy today." And that's when most people stop. But not you. Because you understand, discipline is not about feeling ready. It's about doing it anyway. There's a story about a man who promised himself he would change his life. He bought the gym membership, made the plan, set the alarms. For a week, he was unstoppable. Then came the rain, the fatigue, the excuses. One missed day became two. Two became a month, and soon his dream became dust. But one morning, he saw something different. An old man running in the same park, in the same rain. Gray hair soaked, knees trembling. But he didn't stop. When asked, "Why do you still run at your age?" the old man smiled and said, "Because one day my body won't let me, but until then, I will show up." That's discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline means making promises to yourself and keeping them. It means saying no to what's easy and yes to what's right. It's doing the work when no one is watching. It's saying, "I will," when your mind screams, "I can't." Most people think discipline kills freedom, but it's the opposite. Discipline creates freedom. The freedom to wake up with pride instead of regret. The freedom to trust yourself because you keep your own word. Discipline is the invisible architect of your future. Every small action you repeat, every morning you push through, It builds the foundation that success stands on. Think about it. Every master, every athlete, every leader you admire, they're not driven by constant motivation. They're driven by ritual, by habit, by structure. They've learned that feelings are temporary, but the consequences of quitting last forever.
Discipline is the quiet battle between the part of you that wants comfort and the part that seeks greatness. And every time you choose effort over ease, you win. You grow stronger. You build self-respect. Because nothing feels better than keeping a promise to yourself. That's real confidence. That's real power. There's no applause in discipline, no spotlight, just repetition, just the quiet rhythm of progress. And yet, that's where champions are made, in the unseen hours, in the dark mornings, in the lonely grind where nobody's watching but you are. That's what separates those who wish from those who win. Because success doesn't belong to the smartest or the most talented. It belongs to the most consistent. Every day you show up, you teach your mind that excuses don't control you anymore. You teach your body that fatigue is not the end. It's the signal to begin. You teach your soul that greatness isn't about luck, it's about loyalty to your purpose. And that's the power of discipline. It transforms ordinary into extraordinary, weakness into strength, dreamers into doers. Let's be honest, discipline hurts. It's uncomfortable. It demands sacrifice. But so does regret. And you must choose your pain wisely. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. Every time you push yourself beyond a limit, you're not just building muscle, you're building identity. You're proving to yourself, I'm someone who doesn't quit. And that belief, that inner respect, will carry you further than any motivation ever could. Discipline is love in action. Love for your future. Love for your potential. Love for the person you're becoming. You don't need to do everything at once. Start small. Wake up 10 minutes earlier. Finish what you start. Keep one promise today, then another tomorrow. Soon, your consistency becomes character. Your effort becomes instinct, and your dream becomes reality. He whispers, "This is who I was meant to be." And that's the quiet victory discipline gives you. Remember this, discipline is not punishment, it's training. Training your mind to choose your goals over your impulses. Training your body to obey your vision, not your excuses. Training your soul to rise when everything else tells you to stop. Because success is not built in one giant leap. It's built one disciplined step at a time. So get up, show up, repeat, and let the world watch what consistency creates. Habit 3, purpose. Find your why. There comes a point in life when success itself stops making sense, when money, status, applause, none of it fills the silence inside you. You've achieved things, you've survived things, and yet something inside still whispers, "Why am I doing all this?" That whisper is the beginning of purpose. Everyone has a what they do, what they want, what they chase, but few ever find their why. Your why is your reason, your fire, your anchor when the storms hit. It's what makes you rise again after every failure. Without a why, you'll drift, you'll burn out, You'll confuse movement with progress. But once you find it, once you truly feel it in your bones, nothing can stop you. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who lost everything: his company, his reputation, his confidence. He thought he had nothing left to live for. Until one night, a friend called him, desperate, broken, on the edge. That man listened, talked, stayed on the phone for hours. The friend survived that night. And the man realized something powerful. Maybe I failed at building a business, but I haven't failed at being human. From that night on, he found a new purpose: helping others rise. He rebuilt his life, slower, stronger, with meaning this time. You see, purpose doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers in your darkest hour. Purpose is what gives pain a reason to exist. It transforms suffering into strength. It makes the impossible necessary. Without it, every obstacle feels like punishment. With it, every obstacle becomes part of the mission. Purpose turns weakness into fuel. It gives you a reason to wake up when you have every reason not to. Because the truth is, the world doesn't give meaning to your life. You do. And that meaning comes from contribution, from giving something that lives beyond you. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. A teacher's purpose might be to ignite young minds. A creator's purpose might be to inspire hope through art. A parent's purpose might be to raise strong, kind souls. Your purpose is whatever makes your heart feel alive and useful. Purpose multiplies when shared. When you lift others, you rise too. When you give meaning, you receive peace. That's the paradox of purpose. The more you give, the more full you feel. But remember this: finding your purpose is not a one-day discovery. It's a lifelong unfolding. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to listen to the moments that move you, to the things that break your heart or fill it. Because that's where purpose hides, in what touches your soul. So ask yourself, what would I do even if I never got paid? What problem in the world breaks my heart enough to fix it? Who becomes better when I show up? These questions build the bridge to your why. And once you cross it, you'll never go back to living aimlessly again. Because purpose gives direction to your discipline. It makes sacrifice feel sacred. It turns exhaustion into devotion. You don't need motivation when you're on a mission. You don't need approval when you're aligned with your truth. You don't need everything. You just need a reason. He whispers, "I know why I'm here." And that's when everything changes. Purpose is not found in comfort. It's revealed in challenge. When life tests you, it's asking one question: what are you fighting for? Your answer to that question becomes your compass. Follow it. Protect it. Live for it. Because when you know your why, you can survive any how.
Habit 4. Focus. Block the noise. The world today is loud. It screams for your attention. Every second, someone or something is trying to pull you away from yourself. But greatness does not live in noise. It's built in silence. You can't build an unbreakable mind if you let the world break your focus every 5 minutes. Focus is the modern superpower. The ability to stay still when everyone else is chasing everything. The ability to say no when everyone else says yes. You can't hear your own thoughts when your mind is tuned to the frequency of distraction. Focus is the discipline of attention, training your mind to obey you, not the world. And that's where most people lose the battle. They want success, but they live like tourists in their own lives, distracted, wandering, reactive. But the focused man, he builds empires in silence. Because while everyone else is chasing noise, he's chasing clarity. There was once a violin maker in a small Italian village. He spent weeks carving a single instrument, not because he was slow, but because he refused to be distracted. People mocked him. They said, "You could make 10 violins in the time you make one." He smiled and said, "Yes, but mine will still be played 100 years after I'm gone." Focus creates legacy. Noise creates trends. You choose which one to live for. But to focus, you have to let go. Let go of validation. Let go of needing to be everywhere for everyone. Let go of the illusion that multitasking means mastery. Every yes costs you 1,000 unseen no's. Every scroll costs you a piece of your mind. Ask yourself, what am I giving my attention to? And is it giving anything back? Focus is not just concentration, it's clarity. It's seeing the few things that matter and letting go of everything else. When you know what matters most, you stop chasing what doesn't. Voiceover. Every champion, every master, every visionary, they all had one thing in common: ruthless focus. Not luck, not genius. Focus. They built walls around their time. They guarded their mornings like treasure. They treated attention as sacred energy. And because of that, their work echoed through history. When you focus, the world shrinks. The noise fades. Time slows down. You enter flow, that sacred state where action feels effortless, where thought becomes motion. And in that space, you become unstoppable. Voiceover. Simplicity is the foundation of focus. You can't do deep work in a shallow life. If your environment is cluttered, your mind will be too. That's why warriors prepare their space before they go to battle. They clear distractions before they fight for their dreams. The modern battlefield is your attention. Every notification is a bullet. Every meaningless scroll, a wound. Protect your attention like your life depends on it. Because it does. You were not born to live halfway. You were not meant to scatter your fire across 100 directions. Your gift is meant to burn, bright and steady. Focus is the fire that turns potential into power. So choose. Do one thing deeply. Master one path fully. Silence the world long enough to hear your own soul speak. Because every time you say no to distraction, you say yes to destiny. In a world that never stops talking, focus is rebellion, and silence is strength.
Habit 5. Self-mastery. Control your inner world. The hardest battle you will ever fight is the one inside your own mind. Not the opinions of others, not the economy, not even failure itself, but the invisible war between who you are and who you could be. That reflection you see, it's not your face,
It's your mind showing you the war within. There's a voice in you that wants to rise, to fight, to grow, to evolve, and another that wants to hide, to stay comfortable, to remain unchanged. Every day, every choice, those two voices collide. Your thoughts can be your prison or your power. If you don't learn to command them, they will command you. A younger version of the man is shown, failing exams, losing friends, lying awake at night, scrolling through his phone, comparing his life to others. He whispers, "Why can't I change?" The mentor's voice returns, gentle but firm. Because change doesn't happen outside. It begins inside. You can't master your life until you master your emotions. The storm you face on the outside is only a reflection of the one you've ignored within. You want peace? Then stop feeding the chaos. You want strength? Then stop letting your emotions drive the car. Because emotions are weather. They change. But character is climate, and it stays. Most people never sit with their own mind long enough to understand it. They run. They distract themselves with noise, with screens, with endless motion, because silence forces them to face the truth. But silence is where mastery begins. You don't defeat the darkness by fighting it. You defeat it by bringing in light. And that light is awareness. The awareness that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer behind them. Once you learn that truth, you become free. Self-mastery is not control through force. It's control through understanding. It's learning that your anger can serve you if you direct it toward growth, not destruction. It's knowing that fear is just energy, energy that can either paralyze you or propel you. It's realizing that discipline without emotion is rigidity, but emotion without discipline is chaos. Balance them, and you become unstoppable. Every master you admire, they all learn to rule the kingdom within. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but his true empire was his own mind. Samurai trained their thoughts before they ever drew their swords, because they knew the mind is the weapon, and if you cannot hold it steady, you will cut yourself before the battle even begins. Most people pray for calm seas, but the warrior prays for calm in any sea. Self-mastery means peace in the middle of chaos. It means smiling when things fall apart. It means being grounded when the world tries to shake you. You don't chase peace, you become it. That's mastery. Not controlling the world, but controlling how you meet the world. You can't stop the wind, but you can set your sail. You can't silence the storm, but you can learn to dance in the rain. And one day, you'll realize the storm was never your enemy. It was your teacher. Self-mastery is freedom. Freedom from anger. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from being controlled by every emotion, every opinion, every fear.
It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. To breathe, to feel, to choose instead of react. When you can stay calm in chaos, centered in noise, gentle in conflict, you've already won. The world hasn't changed. He has. That's self-mastery, and that's where true power begins.
Habit 6. Mind control. Reprogram your thoughts. Your mind is the maze. Every thought you've ever had built a wall. Every fear carved a path. Every belief placed a door. And if you don't learn how to navigate it, you'll spend your entire life lost inside your own head. We all have that voice, the one that doubts, the one that criticizes, the one that tells you to quit before you even start. But here's the truth most people never learn. That voice isn't reality. It's a recording, an echo from your past. The thoughts that limit you today were often planted years ago by people who forgot their words could wound. But as long as you keep repeating those thoughts, you keep repeating your past. Your thoughts are not facts. They're patterns. And patterns can be rewritten. You can choose to believe something new. You can choose to speak differently to yourself. You can choose to rebuild your mind. That is what mind control really means. Not manipulating others, but mastering yourself. Every time you repeat a thought, you strengthen its path in your brain. Every time you say, "I can't," you dig that trench deeper. Every time you say, "I can," you build a bridge over it. This is neuroplasticity, the science of the mind's ability to rewire itself. But science alone won't save you. You must decide to change the script. Most people think they need motivation. What they really need is reprogramming. Because you can't live a strong life with a weak story playing in your head. If your inner voice is your enemy, your life will always feel like a war. Change the story, and you change the battle. Every fear is just a thought that has gone unchallenged. Once you face it, it fades. Once you speak truth to it, it dies. You cannot escape your mind, but you can lead it. You can train it, feed it, direct it, until it works for you, not against you. Champions aren't born confident. They build it, word by word. They program their minds like soldiers train muscle memory. They speak victory before it happens, because they know. The mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. What you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes who you are. You are not your negative thoughts. You are the one who can choose new ones. When you change your thoughts, you change your direction. When you change your direction, you change your destiny. Reprogramming begins small, with one phrase, one belief, one decision to speak to yourself as you would to someone you love. You don't need to erase every dark thought. You just need to replace them, one by one, with light. Mind control is not about domination. It's about liberation. It's freeing yourself from the loops of fear and failure that have played in your head for years. It's waking up every morning and saying,
I choose my thoughts today. Because if you can control your thoughts, you can control your emotions. If you can control your emotions, you can control your actions. And if you can control your actions, you can control your life. Master your thoughts, and you master your world. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not the voice that doubts you. You are the one who decides what that voice says next.
Habit 7. Growth. Learn every day. In a world obsessed with speed, real growth is quiet. It happens not in the noise of applause, but in the silence of curiosity. The greatest people you'll ever meet are not the loudest. They are the learners. They are the ones who wake up each day asking, "What can I understand better today?" Knowledge doesn't just live in books. It lives in the questions we ask, the mistakes we make, and the humility to admit we don't know everything. "Do you know why I read every morning?" the old man asks. The boy shakes his head. Because yesterday's wisdom is never enough for today's world. That is growth. To keep learning even when you've already achieved. To keep improving even when no one is watching. To stay teachable even when the world calls you wise. The day you stop learning is the day your mind begins to die. A woman studying late at night, a mechanic mastering new tools, a mother learning digital skills to help her kids, a teenager watching motivational talks, eyes filled with fire. Learning is not an age, it's an attitude. Every new skill you learn is a brick in the house of your future. Every book you read adds weight to your foundation. Every idea you explore widens the horizon of your life. You don't grow in one giant leap. You grow in rings, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one lesson at a time. That's how wisdom works. It compounds quietly, like interest in the bank of your destiny. Failure teaches faster than success ever will. Every fall carries a message. Every scar hides a lesson. The question isn't, "Why did this happen to me?" The question is, "What is this teaching me?" That shift, from victim to student, is the moment your life begins to change. Growth is never easy, because growth demands humility. It requires saying, "I was wrong." It requires stepping into discomfort. It requires outgrowing the version of you that once felt safe. But if you don't outgrow your limits, you'll live your whole life inside them. You see, real success isn't about reaching the top. It's about becoming wiser as you climb. Growth means learning from everyone, from the stranger, the critic, the friend, the failure. Because wisdom hides in places you least expect. The humble find it. The arrogant miss it. You don't need a classroom to grow. Every experience is a teacher. Every pain is a textbook. Every moment of stillness is a lesson. The wise don't chase knowledge to impress others. They seek it to elevate themselves. Because when you grow, you see more, you understand more, you forgive more, you love more. Growth makes you larger than your problems. It makes you strong enough to lift others as you climb. And one day, you realize growth is not just about you. It's about what you pass on. Knowledge shared becomes legacy. Wisdom lived becomes light. Every person you teach, Every heart you inspire, every mind you open, becomes a reflection of your own growth. Learn every day, not to be perfect, but to keep becoming. Because the more you learn, the more you realize how much there is still to know. And that eternal curiosity is what keeps your soul alive.
Habit 8. Courage. Walk through fear. Every warrior meets the same enemy, and that enemy's name is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss, fear of not being enough. Fear doesn't stop the world, it stops you. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move anyway. The brave don't feel safe, they feel terrified and take the next step regardless. When fear rises, don't run. Breathe, feel it, and then walk straight through it. The only way out is through. The only path forward is the one that scares you. You grow when you stop negotiating with your fear, when you stop waiting for the right time, when you stop needing guarantees. Because courage is not built in comfort, it's forged in chaos. It's born in uncertainty. A woman standing before a crowd, voice trembling, yet speaking anyway. A young man leaving his hometown to chase his dream. An athlete stepping back into the arena after loss. A father apologizing to his son after years of silence. Courage wears many faces. Sometimes it looks like boldness. Sometimes it looks like forgiveness. Sometimes it's just standing back up. Every mountain you face will test your will. But remember this, mountains don't grow smaller when you stare at them. They grow smaller when you climb. Fear feeds on hesitation. The moment you act, it starves. Courage is contagious. When you face your fears, you give others permission to do the same. Every act of bravery ripples through time, a silent message to every soul still afraid to move. Sometimes courage means letting go of comfort, of approval, of who you used to be. Because the hardest part of change is saying goodbye to the old you. You will never know what you're capable of until you walk through what you're afraid of. You'll never find your voice until you speak it into the silence. You'll never live your truth until you risk being misunderstood. You've learned the secret, haven't you? Soldier, smiling. Yes, fear never disappears. It just learns who's in command. Fear doesn't vanish. It transforms. It becomes awareness. It becomes focus. It becomes fire. Courage isn't about eliminating fear. It's about training it to serve you. When your fear says stop, your purpose whispers, keep going. And that whisper is your real strength. Every time you walk through fear, you shed an old version of yourself. You walk out cleaner, stronger, freer. Because courage is not found in the absence of danger, but in the presence of faith. One step at a time, one breath at a time. That's how courage is built. When fear comes, don't shrink. Stand taller. Because you were never meant to hide from the storm. You were meant to walk through it.
Habit 9. Purpose. Live with meaning. There comes a point in every life when success stops being enough. When money, comfort, and approval lose their taste. When you wake up one morning and realize you've been climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. Purpose is not found in what you get. It's discovered in what you give. It's not about being famous. It's about being useful. Purpose doesn't shout. It whispers. In the quiet moments, in the tears no one sees, in the sacrifices that never make the news. It's the force that keeps you moving when no one's watching. Father, then first, learn who you're meant to serve. The world doesn't need more successful people. It needs more purposeful ones. People who build not just for profit, but for progress. Who lead not just with their head, but with their heart. When you know your purpose, you stop competing and start contributing. You stop asking, "What do I get?" and start asking, "What can I give?" That shift is where peace begins. Purpose is not a job title. It's a way of living. It's waking up with the fire to make one small corner of the world better than it was yesterday. It's the reason your heart beats faster when you talk about certain things. That's not coincidence. That's calling. Man, all those years I chased success, but the moment I started helping others, I found myself. Purpose is like light. You can't hold it, but you can feel it. And once you feel it, you can never go back to the dark. Woman, whatever you do, make sure it matters to someone. You don't need to save the world. Just touch one life, deeply. That's enough. Because when your purpose meets someone else's pain, you create healing. You create meaning. You create legacy. You were not born by accident. You were not placed here without reason. There is a story only you can tell, a song only you can sing, a light only you can bring. Don't bury it under fear. Don't trade it for comfort. Because purpose is not found in safety, it's found in service. Once you know your purpose, every morning becomes sacred. Every hardship becomes training. Every step becomes destiny. You stop surviving and start living. Because a life without purpose is just breathing. But a life with purpose is creation.
Habit 10. Gratitude. Appreciate the journey. In a world that constantly tells you to chase more, gratitude whispers, stop, look around. You already have enough. Most people think happiness is waiting at the finish line. But the truth is, it's been sitting beside you the whole time. He once believed success meant never struggling again, that happiness would arrive when everything was perfect. But life had a different plan. It didn't give him perfection. It gave him perspective. Gratitude doesn't change your situation. It changes your vision. It teaches you to see beauty in the broken things. Gratitude is not an emotion. It's a skill, a discipline of the soul. It's saying thank you when life gives you lessons instead of rewards. It's finding gold in the moments most people overlook. Sometimes gratitude is born in survival, when you've lost what you thought you couldn't live without, and you realize you're still here, alive, breathing, capable of starting again. That's gratitude in its purest form. The most beautiful gratitude is not shouted. It's whispered in quiet moments of realization. I made it through another day. Gratitude slows you down in a world that races nowhere. It pulls you out of anxiety and back into the miracle of now, because now is all you truly have. You don't need more to be happy. You just need to notice more. The more aware you are, the richer you become. Gratitude is the foundation of peace. It doesn't erase your problems, but it gives you power over them. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" That single question can change your entire life. It's hard to be grateful in pain. But sometimes pain is the only teacher strong enough to wake us up. It strips away illusions. It reminds us what truly matters. Family, health, time, moments you can never buy back. When someone you love becomes a memory, you realize every day is a gift you never deserved, but were given anyway. And that's when gratitude becomes sacred. Gratitude is how you honor life. It's how you say to the universe, I see what you've given me, and I'll use it well. The happiest people are not the ones with the most. They are the ones who remember the most, who notice, cherish, and celebrate every ordinary miracle. A smile, a sunrise, a heartbeat, another chance to try again. Gratitude doesn't make life perfect. It makes it enough. When you learn to give thanks for what you have, you unlock the secret to wanting nothing more and appreciating everything.
Epilogue: The warrior you've become. So here you are, at the end, but also at the beginning. You've walked through awareness and discipline. You found purpose, mastered focus, controlled your mind, faced your fears, and learned to grow. You've built a foundation not of perfection, but of progress. You've learned that true success isn't about having everything. It's about becoming someone strong enough to face anything. Every habit you've built is a weapon. Every struggle you've survived is armor. Every lesson you've learned is a torch, lighting the way forward. The world may never see the hours you worked in silence. It may never clap for your small victories, but you'll know. You'll know the fire that burns quietly inside, the fire that says, I did not quit, I became. Because this was never about fame, never about followers. It was about becoming unshakable, inside and out. The storms will still come. The failures will still test you. But now you'll face them differently, with calm eyes, steady breath, with the knowing that you've built a mind that does not break. That's what this journey was for, not to escape pain, but to transform it. Not to avoid fear, but to walk through it with purpose. Not to chase success, but to create meaning. You are the builder, the warrior, the architect of your own destiny. So as you step into the next chapter of your life, remember this. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next step with strength, with faith, and with gratitude. Because you are no longer waiting for the right moment. You are the moment. And the world is waiting for the power you've built in silence to roar. This is your time. Build, rise, lead. And never forget, you are the masterpiece you've been creating all along.
If this video inspired you or helped you learn something new, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Motivation to Study English for 30 minutes every day. Your support is the energy that keeps us creating better and more meaningful videos every single day.